Christianity began as a small sect within Judaism during the 1st century, spreading rapidly through the preaching of Jesus and his apostles. The term Christian was first coined in Antioch to refer to followers of Jesus Christ. Christians in the Bible were known for their strong faith and belief in the teachings of Jesus, often facing persecution for their beliefs. Despite the challenges, Christians in the Bible were dedicated to spreading the message of love and compassion as taught by Jesus Christ. Christian communities in the Bible also emphasized charity and caring for the less fortunate, following Jesus' example of helping those in need. As the Christian faith grew, followers became known for their unity and strong sense of community, supporting each other in times of joy and hardship. The spread of Christianity in the Bible was fueled by the dedication of believers to share the gospel message with others, leading to the establishment of churches across different regions. Christian figures in the Bible.
Hey guys, how we doing? How we doing? Welcome back. Another episode. We're gonna kind of keep going on where we are. In the last episode, I talked about how people said that I wasn't looking at the religious aspects of it, and I told you I'm not much of a religious person. I don't believe in it whatsoever. It's just not for me. There's nothing anybody's going to tell me that makes me think that the person that created the entire world and universe and everything in its existence wrote some book that he wasn't around to write. So, he didn't speak a language, he didn't write a book, and he certainly didn't have a religion or a chosen people or anything of that sort. He created all men equally, and everything in the universe was created to have an opposite. So everything that he created has an opposite, which is how we measure his creation. Okay? Everything has an opposite. There's up, there's down, there's left, there's right. There's sun, there's, not sun, daylight, nighttime, whatever you want to call it. You wouldn't even understand, what do they say? You wouldn't appreciate the sunshine without the rain, right? So you wouldn't even know what darkness was if you never had light, or vice versa. So, that's just kind of how it works with creation for me. He created all of us with a divine spark, so we are still fragments of that creation, and we have that divine spark inside of us, and we can create the lives that we want. We can create anything that we want. That's the beauty of his creation, is to be able to create anything that you want in existence, because it already exists. You just have to achieve it. You have to put in the work to get there where you want to be, or you have to, set a plan. Otherwise, your ambitions and your goals are nothing but dreams if you don't want to put forth the action, So today what we're going to do is we're going to dive into all three of those particular religions that are involved in the war right now. And we're going to start off with Christianity. That's, America's supposed to be a Christian nation. I don't really think we're showing Christian values with the way things are going right now. All the wars and the death and the violence, like, that just doesn't seem like a Christian thing to me. But again, I'm not a religious person, so I'm going to read from my thing here what it tells us. So don't mind me. Like I said, this is reading thing. I don't have some fancy studio with a computer where I can look at my thing and you're looking right at me while I'm reading it. So it is what it is. I don't have a teleprompter. I ain't fucking rich. So I'm literally sitting in my dining room after working for 12 hours. So it is what it is. Here we go. In the ruins of ancient Jerusalem, a man was executed by the Roman state. His followers claimed he rose from the dead. Within 3 centuries, their movement would become the official religion of the empire that killed him. And in the centuries that followed, it would inspire compassion, art, and revolution. But also, crusades, inquisitions, and violence carried out in his name. I guess we're seeing that today. This is not a story of saints or villains. It's a story of people, power, belief, and the consequences when all three collide. Tonight, we investigate Christianity, not as a faith, but as a force that shaped the world. The story begins in Roman-occupied Judea, a land simmering with tension. Rebellions were common, messianic figures were everywhere, and crucifixion was the empire's favorite way to make an example. Jesus of Nazareth was one of thousands executed this way, but his followers refused to let his story end there. Christianity didn't start as a religion. It started as a protest movement, a challenge to both Roman authority and to certain Jewish elites. Early Christians met in secret. They shared meals, resources, and stories of miracles. They were mocked, marginalized, and sometimes hunted, and yet the movement grew. Okay, so we're starting. So in the Roman times is when Christianity started, I guess, is when it picked up. Rome tolerated many religions, but not those seen as politically dangerous. Christians refused to worship the emperor that made them enemies of the state. Under Emperor Nero, after the Great Fire of Rome, Christians were scapegoated. Some were even burned alive. Others were torn apart by animals in public arenas. These were not just executions, they were spectacles designed to terrify, but the effect was the opposite. Martyr stories spread, and with death, the movement gained new followers. In 313 CE, everything changed. Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity. Within decades, it became the dominant religion of the Roman Empire. A persecuted minority had become an imperial power, and with power came new conflicts. Oh, so that's when it officially became like a legal religion back then, I guess, is 313 after Christ's existence. Is that what CE stands for? I'm pretty sure that's what CE stands for. So that makes sense. It was like a movement, like Jesus said, you didn't have to follow what the Romans were saying, and that wasn't the only way for life. It makes sense. I mean, we have people who get persecuted for trying to go against the narrative today. As soon as you say something that's against the narrative, we see what happens. Joe Kent or Tucker Carlson, anything where people don't speak on what they want their agenda and their narrative to be for their populace or their country or their religion, for that matter. I'll get into my debating arguments about this once we get through it. So, Christianity was never one thing. Different communities had different beliefs about Jesus, salvation, and Scripture. The early church responded with councils, political gatherings disguised as theological debates. The Council of Nicaea, the Council of Chalcedon, doctrines were defined, dissenters were labeled as heretics. Some were exiled, some were executed, some formed new branches that still exist today. The medieval period, Christianity was inseparable from political power. Launched in the 11th century, they were framed as holy missions. In reality, they were about land, wealth, and influence. Oh, this must be the Crusades. Cities were sacked, entire populations were massacred, and Jewish communities across Europe faced waves of violence. Church courts hunted heresy, interrogations, torture, and execution followed. Fear became a tool of religious control. There it is. Fear became a tool of religious control. Like I told you, they use religion as some form of authority over human beings because we've given the governance of our body and our existence to an outside source. Like, we have to quit doing that. Like, we have to govern our own bodies and our own minds, and we have to free ourselves from the chains of things that we've been taught our whole lives because they're probably wrong or lies. In Spain, Jews and Muslims were pressured to convert or leave. Some who converted were still persecuted, accused of secretly practicing their old faith. In the 16th century, a German monk named Martin Luther challenged the Catholic Church. What followed was not just a theological debate, but a fracture that split Europe. Protestants and Catholics fought wars that killed millions. Entire regions were burned, villages were wiped out, and Christianity became a battlefield of competing truths. See, this is the part that I'm talking about. If it's one religion and one God and one creator and one story and one thing that he wrote, then there really should be no separation of any of it, to be honest. Like, that's, again, just my opinion. But we'll keep going. As European empires expanded, Christianity traveled with them. Missionaries translated languages, built schools, and offered aid, but they also participated in cultural erasure, forced conversions, and the suppression of indigenous religions. Christianity became global, not always by choice. So there we go, forcing religion down your throat, and again, we lose things that we could have learned because they suppressed that information because it didn't fit whatever narrative they were trying to push. You know, this part right here, they also participated in cultural erasure, forced conversation, and the suppression of indigenous religions. Like, that's our public school system right there. Literally our public school system. So, you know, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. We don't ask these questions. We don't investigate these things. We kind of just take everything for what it is and what people shove down our throats, and we just swallow it, expecting it to be the truth. But the truth is that we never really get the truth, even in the case of this Bible that's been dissected a million times and filtered before we could get our hands on it. Today, Christianity is the world's largest religion. It inspires charity, activism, and movements for justice. It also remains entangled in politics, culture wars, and global conflict. Its story is not simple. It never was. Christianity began with a man executed by an empire. It became the religion of that empire, and it then shaped the world far beyond it. It has been a source of hope, justification for harm, a force for liberation, and a tool for oppression. To understand Christianity is to understand human history itself, its brilliance, its brutality, its contradictions. So, where we're at. Okay. Now, that's a lot, okay? But, I mean, it actually makes sense. I understand the story of Christianity. I'm not oblivious when it comes to the Bible. I have read a lot of the Bible. I'm not going to say I read it all. I read a lot of it. But, you know, how you interpret the Bible just kind of depends on how you interpret life. And it depends what you assert that story to. And I think that's why the Bible is one of those you know, multi-generational, multicultural things, because there are stories in it that align with history, but the problem I have with it is that it's like selective history. So you give me what you think is the proper information, and I have to base my truth off of that. But already that truth is obscured because I didn't have all the information when I made my honest opinion about something in the first place, which is why I stand where I stand on this war and why I say the things that I do. And people are like, oh, like, you support terrorists and you support Iran and their crazy regime. Like, no, not really, bro. I just don't support people fucking dying. Like, when is it going to be enough? I can't emphasize this enough. We're about to enter a stage of this war where there's no going back. So, you know, when we go to war, it's supposed to be because we exhausted every possible domestic option that there is. And we haven't, because we already had an agreement that had all of this shit nipped in the bud. All right, they had the JCPOA that Obama had signed, and people were like, oh, he gave them money. Like, no, he fucking freed up money that was frozen from our economic sanctions, which forced their country into economic turmoil, which is what started people protesting in the first place. So then you add that, and you got these fucking Mossad agents that are in here perping up these fucking protests to try to make them violent, and that's what leads to people fucking dying. You know, This 19-year-old kid who was on the fucking news for being hung by the regime slaughtered 2 fucking cops with a goddamn machete. Okay, so yes, shit, violence was a real thing. It is a real thing. It's a real thing everywhere. It's a real thing in America. We want to talk about fucking violence, like walk through fucking Baltimore, walk through fucking Detroit, walk through Chicago. They call that shit fucking Chirac for a reason, because it's like being in a fucking war zone. Yet we're over here trying to police the fucking world. Like, let's look at video of all of Iran and all of the places in Iran and look how violent and crazy it is there. Let's see if it looks the way it does here. We talk about crazy regimes and this and that. Like, where is the proof? Like, just show us proof. Show us that these people are walking around beating people out in the middle of the street. Show us something. But we never have proof. All of a sudden, we got ballistic missiles that went 4,000 miles. Let me let you guys in on something, okay? The United States military has satellite trajectory tracking for every single fucking missile that is fired in the world. As soon as the fuselage is lit, a satellite tracker is right on whatever missile is being fired, wherever it's being fired from. Do not let them fucking tell you they do not, because that's a fucking lie. They do have that. And if they had that, why did they not release the trajectory on those missiles that got launched? Iran was supposedly lying and had these missiles that went 4,000 kilometers. First of all, why the fuck did they miss you then? If their missiles are so precise, and they've been precise during the whole war, they just happened to miss you when they shot him at Diego Garcia a day after the EU said that you could use that base for attacks? So if they did miss it, then they missed it on purpose, and it was a fucking warning. Or it didn't come from them, and you're doing it to try to gain, political whatever towards trying to go to this war, because nobody fucking wants it. We don't want Americans to die, and that's what's going to happen. Americans are going to fucking die. American soldiers, our men and women, sons and daughters, fathers and mothers, are going to die. And for what? What are we getting out of it? Okay, we're diving into this religious shit so we can see what's going on there. But at the end of the day, like, what are we doing? What are we getting out of this? Are we going to be a freer country? Are we going to get better health care? Are we going to get better roads? Are we going to get better pay? Are we going to be able to afford houses? Are we going to fix the banking system that charges us 80% interest on money they loan us that isn't even fucking theirs to loan us in the first place? Like, are we going to fix anything, or are we just going to constantly keep going to war to terrorize these countries to steal their fucking resources? Because that's what it's about. We're going to go in there and we're going to treat them the same fucking way we did Iraq. And just in case anybody doesn't know how it works in Iraq, let me explain it to you, okay? We went to war. We didn't find any fucking weapons of mass destruction. We killed 3 million fucking people there. We lost 3,000 troops there, and probably 4,000 actually troops there. The amount of money we spent in Iraq alone was like $3 trillion. So, what did we get from that? Well, I'll tell you what we got. We got control of their fucking oil. So this is their country's resources, right? And now we are in charge of their fucking oil. So that means that we get the money, all of the money from the oil sales that Iran gets from all the oil they sell overseas to all the people they sell it to. Okay, it comes to fucking America. And in order for Iraq to get those funds freed up, they have to prove that they're going to behave in the way that America wants them to. And if they don't, they freeze those assets. So the economy crumbles. The fucking country is in shambles. There's violence fucking everywhere. And America's sitting here playing piggy banks with its fucking resources because that's what they went in and did. Like, you destabilized this fucking country. Okay? Was it perfect? No, it wasn't. But you lied to us to convince us to go to war. And then you proceeded to do it in more countries, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Yemen. You know, it doesn't matter. Like, the list goes on. There's a whole list of fucking countries that we've been to war with. And we haven't received any benefits from this. We leave weapons over there. We fund these proxies that start these wars and these regime changes that causes problems. When we have a defense budget to defend the United States of America, which you didn't do on 9/11, by the way. You failed to defend your country. You failed your American people. And you're failing us again by bringing us to yet another pointless war for pointless reasons, and Americans are going to die, and we're going to spend more money that we don't have. And I don't understand why. You can't give us a real reason. Tulsi Gabbard, head of all national intelligence, every intelligence agency in the United States answers to her. And she said, quote, that the Iran regime did not have a nuclear weapon. They could not build a nuclear weapon. That's what she said to Congress, okay? So that was a lie. They said their regime killed 40,000 protesters. Where's the mass graves? Where's the names? The UN said it was 20,000. Iran says it's 4,000 or 5,000. Iran released a list of names and everything of the people. By the way, there was Mossad agents entangled in that, and that was the reason why that became violent. Because that's what they do. They implant these secret service agents in the CIA and Mossad and MI6, and they go into these fucking places and they destabilize them to give you reasons to go to war with them. So, problem, reaction, solution. That's how governments operate. They create a problem, they wait for the reaction, and then they offer us a solution that they already had in the first place. Look at fucking COVID, all right? It's the same way that it works for the poisonous food that we eat. These motherfuckers are in control of everything. And sending our kids out to die for wars for no reason, we should be up in arms protesting this shit. We should be calling our senators, our congresspeople, and letting them know we do not stand for this. We do not support this. Pull America out now before it's too late. Because it's gonna get ugly and it's gonna get nasty. And Iran is an unforgiving place with unforgiving territory and unforgiving fucking soldiers. I understand that our soldiers are the best of the best. I understand that our weapons are the best of the best. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying we'll lose. I'm saying that we're gonna fucking have a cost of life and a loss of life that does not need to happen. We have to do better, America, as people who hold our government to a higher standard, to what the American people want. We have to do better. We have to be smarter. We have to learn, and we have to come together and stop fighting with each other over these bullshit-ass reasons and these bullshit ideals and all opinions, because that's what we fight over is opinions. Let's just face the fucking facts. Americans are tired of spending their money overseas. Spend it at home. Fix our country. Fix our roads. Fix our healthcare. My son has seizures and can't get fucking medicine because it's too high. It costs too much goddamn money. Can't get insurance because he's in the threshold where he can't get state insurance, but he makes too much money, so he has to buy insurance, but can't afford to buy insurance and still pay to live. So let's fix that before my son fucking dies. Or you want to send another one of my sons to die for war. Can we fix something here? I'm glad you guys believe in religion and this Holy Spirit and this and that, but you don't act fucking religious when the way that your veterans are dying on the street, your kids are being trafficked and turned into sex slaves, and your government protects them. They don't release the slush fund for what congressmen are committing sexual harassment and sexual deviant acts while they're supposed to be working for the American people. We cover that shit up. Yet we're going to try to talk about some tyrannical regime that doesn't let women not wear a hijab. Who fucking cares? If they don't want to live there, they can move. Move to America, since we have such an open fucking border for everybody. Move to America. But it's been like that for centuries over there, okay? This is their law. This is their custom. Democracy was never going to work in the Middle East. You were told that in 2001 before you went to Iraq. You were told that in 2002. You were told that in 2003. You were told that in 2007. You were told that in 2010. Democracy will not work in the Middle East because it does not mix with their culture and their laws. Plain and simple. We can't spread democracy and say that it's fucking freedom because it's not. They're not free from anything. You leave these countries in shambles. We got to stop. We got to stop. Anyways, like I said, I've been working all night. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, so I gotta try to get some sleep. We did Christianity today. The next time I think we're gonna probably do figure out what religion it is that is the majority of religion in Iran. There's 94 million people, so it's gonna be different like America. They say like Iran is really like a different kind of America because it's got so many different cultures and religions and different backgrounds. So we're going to dive into that one, and then we'll save that Judaism for the last, because Judaism has like a mix of things in it. It has Zionism in it too, and I want to make sure that we separate the two because I definitely believe that there's a difference in the two. So again, that's just my opinion. I don't look at it through a religious lens, so I can say whatever the fuck I want without any bias. But you know, a lot of us are pretty set on the idea that we know the basis of Christianity and what it stands for, and well, what it's supposed to stand for. And you know, there's the old gruesome Old Testament, and there's the New Testament that's a little more welcoming and open for people. Again, like I said, books changing, information changing. I don't really know how that works, but again, I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just a delivery guy, so. You know, they'll say my opinion don't mean shit because I didn't pay a bunch of money to go to some prestigious college where they brainwashed me for $150,000 and a bunch of debt. So it is what it is. I'm just delivering my opinion how I do best. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. You know, like I said, if you got anything you want to talk about, or you want to correct me on anything, or you know, you got sources for me to go to check stuff out, let me know. I appreciate you. Just like, share, comment, you know, let me know. Let me know what you guys think. See you next time. Thank you.